Breaking news. Viking Nation, the first revelation is about to detonate inside U.S. Bank Stadium and shake the very foundations of Minneapolis. What I'm about to reveal will send shockwaves through the NFC North and leave Packers fans crying into their cheese curds. We've got Stephen A. Smith throwing absolute fire at our upcoming opponents, a familiar face returning to strengthen our quarterback's foundation. Aaron Rodgers himself admitting he's terrified of what Brian Flores has built in purple, and behind-the-scenes drama that proves the Vikings are living rent-free in everyone's heads. Each of these revelations could redefine the trajectory of our season. And if you bleed purple like a true warrior, you're about to witness why this franchise is about to terrorize the entire league. The storm starts right now with a bombshell that no one saw coming, and Viking Nation, you better hold on to something because what comes next will make you believe we're destined for Valhalla this season. But hold on, as shocking as that opening is, what Stephen A. Smith just unleashed about our next opponent's cuts even deeper than a frozen Minnesota winter. The ESPN personality didn't just analyze the upcoming Steelers matchup. He absolutely demolished Pittsburgh's chances and basically handed us the game on a silver platter. During Wednesday's first take, Smith looked directly into the camera and delivered what can only be described as a death sentence for the Steelers' defensive unit. If Carson Wentz gets on the field and carves you up, we have a problem, Smith declared, his voice dripping with the kind of disdain that makes grown men weep. But here's where it gets absolutely beautiful. Viking Warriors, Smith didn't stop there. He went full scorched earth on Pittsburgh's defense, essentially saying that if our backup quarterback destroys them, he'll lose complete faith in everything the Steelers represent defensively. Think about that for a moment. Carson Wentz, our temporary field general, has Stephen A. Smith so convinced of our offensive capabilities that he's using it as a measuring stick for Pittsburgh's entire defensive identity. Smith highlighted how Brian Flores, our defensive mastermind, knows exactly how to exploit Aaron Rodgers' weaknesses, pointing out that while Rodgers completes 78% of his passes in a clean pocket, under pressure that number plummets to a pathetic 27%. The ESPN giant basically gift-trapped this game and handed it to us with a purple bow. Brian Flores is going to bring the rain, Smith proclaimed, and every Viking fan knows what that means. We're about to witness a defensive clinic that will have Steelers fans questioning everything they thought they knew about their team. Smith's analysis wasn't just commentary, it was a prophecy, a declaration that our defense is built to neutralize exactly what Pittsburgh brings to the table. And when the most recognizable voice in sports media is essentially conceding the game to your backup quarterback, you know something special is brewing in Minneapolis. The pressure is mounting, the expectations are sky high, and Stephen A. Smith just told the entire football world that if Pittsburgh can't handle Carson Wentz, they don't deserve to share the field with the purple and gold Warriors, who've been quietly assembling the most feared defense in the NFC. This isn't just about one game or one matchup. This is about respect, recognition, and the dawning realization that the Vikings have built something that terrifies opponents before they even step onto the field. And just when fans thought Stephen A.'s declaration couldn't get more explosive, the next story proves that championship teams are built on the smallest details that casual fans never notice. Sometimes the most crucial moves happen away from the spotlight, in the quiet corners where champions are truly forged. And what the Vikings front office just executed might be the difference between another playoff disappointment and a Super Bowl parade down the Collet Mall. Tim Jones is back in purple, and while that name might not make headlines like Justin Jefferson or T.J. Hawkinson, this move speaks volumes about the championship mentality brewing inside TCO Performance Center. The 27-year-old wide receiver, who spent last season with the Jaguars, has been re-signed to our practice squad. And before you dismiss this as just another roster move, consider what this really represents: depth, preparation, and the kind of attention to detail that separates contenders from pretenders. Jones brings legitimate NFL experience, having appeared in all 17 games for Jacksonville last season, hauling in 3 receptions for 41 yards while also handling return duties, with 43 yards on 2 attempts. But here's what makes this signing absolutely brilliant. The Vikings aren't just collecting bodies. They're strategically building a foundation that can withstand the brutal marathon of an NFL season. When injuries inevitably strike, when starters need rest, when the playoffs demand fresh legs, teams with championship aspiration have players like Jones ready to step up without missing a beat. The Southern Miss product originally entered the league as an undrafted free agent, with the Jaguars in 2021 signing a 3-year, $2.4 million contract that speaks to his professional caliber and legitimate NFL ability. This isn't charity work or a favor to an agent. This is Kevin O'Connell and the front office making calculated moves to ensure that when the pressure mounts and the lights get brightest, the Vikings have the depth necessary to outlast their competition. While other teams are scrambling to find replacements midseason, while rivals are signing players off the street in desperation, the Vikings will have Tim Jones ready to contribute, a player who's already proven he belongs on NFL fields and can handle the intensity of professional football. Every championship team has these unsung heroes, these depth players who never make the Pro Bowl but show up when it matters most. And Tim Jones represents exactly the kind of professional that can make the difference between a season that ends in heartbreak and one that culminates with confetti falling in purple and gold. This signing isn't just about football. It's about building a culture where every player understands their role and embraces the opportunity to contribute to something bigger than themselves. Stay with me, because what comes next will flip the script in ways nobody predicted, and it involves the chemistry that could unlock Carson Wentz's full potential. Championship quarterbacks aren't born. They're built through relationships, through trust, through the kind of unspoken communication that can only develop between players who've shared the trenches of NFL warfare. And Carson Wentz is about to reunite with his old battlefield companion, center Ryan Kelly, in what might be the most underrated storyline of our entire season. Back in 2021, when Wentz was wearing Indianapolis blue instead of Viking purple, he and Kelly forged the kind of connection that separates good offensive lines from great ones. The kind of chemistry that allows quarterbacks to focus on reading defenses instead of worrying about snap counts and protection calls. Kelly participated in 14 games that season, logging 908 offensive snaps alongside Wentz, who appeared in all 17 games with 1,091 snaps. That's over 900 opportunities to build the kind of rapport that can't be taught in film sessions or developed during practice drills. The numbers from that 2021 season tell the story of what happens when Wentz has stability at the center position, a 60.4% completion percentage, 3,563 passing yards, 27 touchdowns against just 7 interceptions. Statistics that represent exactly the kind of steady, reliable production that championship teams require from their quarterback position. While Michael Juergens performed admirably as Kelly's replacement, earning respect as a 7th-round pick who stepped up when needed, the reality is that Kelly's return represents a massive upgrade in both talent and experience. Pro Football Focus rates Kelly as the 3rd-best center in the entire NFL with a solid 77.1 grade, while Juergens currently ranks 36th out of 36 qualified centers with a concerning 49.9 grade. But the real magic happens in the pre-snap communication, the subtle adjustments and protection calls that veteran centers master. After years of NFL experience, Kelly has appeared in 123 career games, accumulating the kind of knowledge that allows him to diagnose defensive schemes before they fully develop, to make the protection calls that keep quarterbacks upright and comfortable in the pocket. Since joining the Vikings in March, Kelly has had months to absorb the complexities of Kevin O'Connell's offensive system, understanding the nuances and adjustments that Wentz might have missed during his late August arrival. This reunion isn't just about blocking schemes or snap counts. It's about giving Carson Wentz the foundation he needs to operate with confidence, to make the quick decisions and accurate throws that can elevate our entire offensive unit and prove to doubters that championship-level quarterback play doesn't require a household name, just the right pieces working in perfect harmony. When that center-quarterback connection clicks, when every snap is clean and every protection call is perfectly timed, magical things happen on football fields. And Viking Nation is about to witness exactly why this seemingly small roster move could be the catalyst for something truly special. But trust me, the story only gets darker from here, because the next twist involves our biggest rival basically surrendering before the battle even begins. There's something absolutely intoxicating about watching your enemies acknowledge your superiority, about seeing fear creep into their voices when they're forced to discuss what you've built. And Aaron Rodgers just delivered the kind of confession that should have every Viking warrior ready to storm Lambeau Field with battle axes raised high. The man who tormented us for over a decade, who crushed our Super Bowl dreams and made our Sunday afternoons miserable, just spent an entire press conference essentially admitting that Brian Flores has created something he's genuinely afraid to face. They can throw a lot at you, Rodgers said about our defense. And coming from someone who's seen every defensive scheme imaginable over 18 NFL seasons, that statement carries the weight of a veteran quarterback who knows he's in for a long afternoon. But Rodgers didn't stop with generic praise. He went full analyst mode, breaking down why our defensive unit represents everything an aging quarterback has nightmares about. They do a good job of disguising everything looks the same, Rodgers explained, describing exactly the kind of defensive complexity that has consistently frustrated veteran quarterbacks who rely on pre-snap reads and comfortable pocket presence. The four-time MVP went into detail about our pass rush rotation, specifically mentioning Jonathan Greenard, Dallas Turner, and Andrew Van Ginkel as players who can drop into coverage and be effective, and rush the passer extremely effectively, essentially painting a picture of a defense that operates without predictable patterns or exploitable weaknesses. But here's where Rodgers' confession becomes absolutely beautiful for Viking Nation. He specifically called out Harrison Smith, referring to him as my old friend Harrison running around in disguise, a comment that carries the grudging respect of someone who's been repeatedly victimized by our veteran safety's intelligence and instincts. Rodgers even took time to praise our cornerback depth and interior defensive line, concluding that there are no holes in the defense, which translates to a veteran quarterback basically admitting he has no idea how to attack what Brian Flores has constructed in Minneapolis. The most telling moment came when Rodgers shifted his focus to our defensive coordinator himself, calling Brian Flores a phenomenal coach and suggesting that at some point he should get another head coaching job, considering how he's coached the defense the last few years. When your biggest rival's quarterback is essentially campaigning for your defensive coordinator to get promoted, you know you built something truly special, something that has even the most experienced signal callers questioning their ability to find success against the purple wall that awaits them in US Bank Stadium. This isn't just respect, this is surrender disguised as analysis, fear wrapped in professional courtesy, and the admission that what we've built in Minnesota represents a level of defensive excellence that even Hall of Fame quarterbacks can't figure out how to attack. And listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal proves that even in defeat, even in missed opportunities, the Vikings continue to live rent-free in the minds of our greatest enemies. The final piece of this championship puzzle isn't about what happened, but about what almost happened, about the conversations that took place behind closed doors between Aaron Rodgers and Kevin O'Connell that can have completely altered the landscape of the NFC North. Aaron Rodgers just confirmed what we've all suspected. He wanted to be a Minnesota Viking, and the only thing standing between us and the most devastating quarterback acquisition in franchise history was timing and circumstances beyond anyone's control. During his Wednesday press conference, Rodgers admitted that he and O'Connell had multiple conversations during the offseason, though he was quick to add that the discussions never progressed beyond catching up. Conversations, a statement that probably makes Packers fans physically ill when they realize how close their former savior came to wearing purple and gold. The relationship between Rodgers and O'Connell dates back to 2008, when O'Connell entered the league as a fourth-round Patriots draft pick. But their connection deepened when O'Connell joined the NFC North as the Vikings head coach in 2023. The timing couldn't have been more perfect for a potential partnership. Rodgers was looking for a new home after his disappointing stint with the Jets, while the Vikings had a coach who understood how to maximize veteran quarterback talent in an offensive system built for precision and creativity. Reports suggested that Rodgers still had genuine interest in signing with Minnesota, believing he could thrive in O'Connell's offensive scheme. But such a move would have created impossible questions about the Vikings' long-term commitment to J.J. McCarthy. The complexity of the situation reveals just how close we came to adding the most accomplished quarterback in NFC North history. Imagine Justin Jefferson running routes for Aaron Rodgers. Imagine T.J. Hockenson finding soft spots in coverage with a quarterback who's mastered every defensive concept imaginable. Imagine the kind of offensive explosion that could have turned the Vikings into immediate Super Bowl favorites. But here's what makes this revelation even more delicious for Viking Nation. Rodgers' admission proves that players around the league recognize what we're building in Minneapolis, that even future Hall of Fame quarterbacks see the potential for greatness in what Kevin O'Connell and this organization have constructed. While the partnership never materialized, while circumstances prevented what could have been the most shocking quarterback acquisition in team history. The fact that these conversations took place at all speaks to the respect and recognition that the Vikings command throughout the NFL. And now, as Rodgers prepares to face the team he almost joined, wearing the black and gold of Pittsburgh instead of the purple and gold of Minnesota, there's a poetic justice in knowing that he'll be forced to experience firsthand what he almost became a part of, facing the defensive masterpiece that Brian Flores has created and the offensive potential that he'll never get to unlock alongside the most talented receiving corps in the NFC North. Think this was wild? Just wait until the rivals make their counter move, because that war is only beginning. And what we've witnessed this week is just the opening salvo in what promises to be the most decisive season in franchise history. Every piece is falling into place. Every storyline is converging towards something that feels destined, something that has the entire NFC North looking over their shoulders and wondering if this is finally the year that the Vikings stop being bridesmaids and start being champions. Stephen A. Smith has essentially handed us a victory before kickoff. Our practice squad additions prove that championship-level depth is being assembled piece by piece. Carson Wentz has his security blanket returning in Ryan Kelly. Aaron Rodgers is openly terrified of what Brian Flores has built, and the confession that our biggest rival almost wore our colors serves as the ultimate validation of everything this organization represents. The stars are aligning in ways that Viking Nation hasn't seen in decades. The kind of perfect storm that transforms good teams into legendary ones, that turns potential into championship parades and heartbreak into eternal glory. And if you believe in this team more than you hate the Packers, if you think Justin Jefferson deserves a Super Bowl ring more than Aaron Rodgers deserves another playoff appearance, if you're ready to watch T.J. Hockenson and Jordan Addison terrorize defenses, while Brian Flores unleashes defensive chaos, that makes offensive coordinators wake up in cold sweats, then smash that subscribe button right now and prove to the football world that Viking Nation is ready to sail into battle. Because what's coming next in Minneapolis isn't just another season, it's a reckoning, a statement to the entire NFL that the days of moral victories and close calls are over, that this franchise is ready to claim what's rightfully ours and plant our flag on the mountaintop of professional football. The next 72 hours might be the most decisive in this organization's history, with trade deadlines approaching, injury reports developing, and divisional rivals making desperate moves to try and match what we're building in Minneapolis. But here's what they don't understand, what they can't replicate. What makes this Viking team different from every other pretender in the NFC? We have the perfect combination of veteran leadership and explosive young talent, defensive brilliance and offensive creativity, coaching excellence and front office vision that transforms potential into championships and dreams into destiny. Stay tuned, Viking Nation, because if you thought this week felt like an earthquake, what's coming next could be the aftershock that topples the entire NFC and sends us sailing straight into Super Bowl glory with purple and gold confetti, falling like snow in the coldest, most beautiful winter Minneapolis has ever seen. This is more than football. This is warfare. This is the moment when everything we've built, everything we've suffered through, everything we've dreamed about finally comes together in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. And when that final whistle blows and the Lombardi Trophy is hoisted high above US Bank Stadium, the entire football world will know that the Vikings didn't just win a championship. We conquered destiny itself.